Welcome back to another episode. Today we are going to talk about the applications of integration. Basically, this part of the integration is the um, most technical aspect. But once you are good with integration techniques and you are good with differentiation, while the rest are just formulas, then you are good to go. So with today we are going to talk about the arc length. So basically the arc length is just about you integrating a particular function, okay, from a lower limit to the upper limit. And then when you integrate, when you have such a function, when you have a particular function, you want to find the arc length. First, you have to differentiate the function, okay? So when you differentiate the function, square the result, then add 1 to the result. That is basically the formula. The integral from a particular limit a to b, then square root of 1 plus the differential of the function squared. That is all about the arc length. So we have this particular problem here, which is 1 plus 6x 6x power 3 on 2, and you want to find the arc length. So basically what you need is your first derivative of the function, then you add 1 to the result. Okay, so let's look at how we can deal with this particular problem. Let's go. So the first derivative, the derivatives and integration techniques are very crucial in calculus. Okay, so once you know the power rule, you're going to apply the power rule over here. So the first derivative of this particular problem with respect to x, okay, when you differentiate a constant, which is 1, is going to get 0. So this part is gone. You consider this. So when you differentiate 6x power 3 on 2, is going to have 6 times 3 on 2 x power 3 on 2 minus 1. Okay, so this is basically 18 on 2 x power 3 on 2 minus 1 is basically 3 on 2 minus 1, which is 2 on 2, right? And that is equal to 3 minus 2, right? So that is half. So we have half at this section. Okay, so once we have this, we can simplify this to have 9x or half. Okay, so we have the differential of the function given. So now square the result. So we have the differential, which is this. So we have to square the result, right? Square of the first derivative, and that is equal to 9x power 2 x power half squared. Okay, so this is going to be 9 squared, which is 81. So we're going to have 81 here, x power half times 2. Okay, and that is equal to 81x right here, 81x. So we have this information. We just have to quote our formula and we are good to go. So our arc length or arc of length is equal to the integral from a particular limit. We're given the interval to be 0 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 1. So that becomes our interval. So this basically means that your A is equal to 0 and B is equal to 1, where your A is the lower limit and the B is the upper limit. Okay, so once we have the informations, let's go and do substitution. So we're going to have from 0 to 1, then we have square root of 1 plus the first derivative all squared is 81x, right? So we have 81x, okay? Then the x. That is all about the arc length. So this information you have here, you know how to do integration, you know how to do differentiation. So basically nothing is new in here. So our arc length is going to be equal to integral from 0 to 1 square root of 1 plus 81x dx. Okay, so for you to be able to integrate this particular function, okay, we have to employ the knowledge of substitution, basically the u substitution. So from here, we say that we are going to apply the u sub. So let's u equals 81x plus 1. Okay, so when we differentiate both sides, we are going to have du equals 81 dx. Okay, so basically we are going to have dx equals du over 81. Okay, so once we have these informations, let's do back substitution and see the result. So when we do back substitution, we are going to have integral from 0 to 1. Then now this argument is u. Okay, this argument is u. So we have u here, and our ds now is du on 81. So we have du on 81. Okay, so this 1 on 81 is a constant. So we factor it out. 1 on 81, integral from 0 to 1, then square root of u du. You know that square root of u can be written as u power half du. And once you have this, you know that when you integrate u power half, you're going to have u power 3 on 2 divided by 3 on 2. Okay, so you're going to have u power 3 on 2 divided by 3 on 2 from a limit of 0 to 1. Okay, so let's simplify that, and then we go back and do substitution because we know that u is 81x plus 1. Okay, so we're going to have 2 on 3 u power 3 on 2. But we know that our u is what? Our u is 81x plus 1 or 3 on 2 from a limit of 0 to 1, right? We have 1 on 81 outside here. Okay, so this information, let's try to integrate this. So we're going to have the 2 on 3 out, multiplying the 1 on 81, and that is going to be 2 on 81 times 3, and that is basically 243. Okay, so that is basically 243. Okay, so we have 81x plus 1 power 3 on 2 from 0 to 1. Okay, so we know our normal integration. So our normal integration goes, we're going to have 2 on 243 into 81x plus 1 all power 3 on 2 from a limit of 0 to 1. Okay, so our arc length is basically coming down to be, so now let's plug in the limit. Okay, so we're going to have 81 into 1 plus 1. Okay, all power 3 on 2 minus 81 into 0 plus 1 all power 3 on 2. Right, so we're going to have 2 on 243 into 81 times 1, that is 81 plus 1, that is 82. So we have 82 power 3 on 2 minus 81 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is 1. So we have 1 power 3 on 2, and that is basically 1. So we have 1 at this section. Okay, so we have 82 power 3 on 2 minus 1. Okay, so when you simplify that, when you simplify 82 power 3 on 2, that is basically 742.51. 742.518, right? And this, when you multiply with the 2 over 243, you're basically going to have 6.10, 6.103, 6.1032. And this result becomes your arc length. This result becomes your arc length. Basically, length, length is a distance. Okay, so it should be positive, of course. So it can be meters, it can be kilometers, whatever. So we don't know the unit. So we just say 6.1032 units, right? So that becomes the arc length to this particular function that we were given. So we have our arc length is equal to 6.1032 units. 6.1032 units. Thank you very much for watching this video. I really appreciate your time. Don't forget to subscribe, share with your mates, and I'll give you more updates. Bye-bye.